I know it's getting tiresome to keep discussing the latest canceled thing each week. Every time, the naive part of my brain hopes this episode will be bad enough so that asking, "Do you get it yet?" will finally prompt some thought in those poisoning our culture with progressive and politically correct puritanism all the time. But the trend shows no sign of reversing, so for now, it's important to keep highlighting the terrible things that happen when we prioritize our supposed quest for moral and ideological purity over everything else, including objectively good things for deserving people who need it. It's shameful enough when it's just one guy's job or career advancement at the sacrificial altar, but lately, not even charity is safe. Of course, last week we saw the effort against Busch Light beer guy Carson King and his children's hospital charity. This week, it's charity for a police officer in California killed last fall in the line of duty. Recall the Thousand Oaks shooting at the Borderline Bar last November. A gunman broke into College Country Night and killed 13 people and injured 10 more. One of those killed was responding Sheriff's Deputy Ron Helis, a 29-year department veteran nearing retirement, struck by gunfire upon entry to the bar shortly after making a final phone call to his wife. And it was ultimately friendly fire from a California Highway Patrol officer's rifle that was fatal. There's a national nonprofit called the Fallen Officers Foundation, which organizes events across the country to benefit the families of police officers killed on duty, as well as law enforcement in those communities. And for months, they've been planning a Blue Bowl football event at a Thousand Oaks High School. Community organizations fielded teams. The LA Rams donated Ron Helis jerseys for those teams to play in, and various donors had raised thousands of dollars for the benefit of the Helis family, as well as Ventura County law enforcement, until, allegedly, Thousand Oaks Police Chief Tim Hagel discovered who would be participating in the event. On the schedule were actor Scott Baio, a supporter of the president and a speaker at the 2016 Republican National Convention, Rhonda Kennedy, a Republican attorney who recently lost a bid for California State Assembly against an incumbent Democrat, and singer Joy Villa, who of course wore a Make America Great Again dress to the 2017 Grammys, a Choose Life dress at the 2018 event, and a Build the Wall dress this year. According to the Fallen Officers Foundation vice president, upon learning this information, the police chief told him to get rid of the event's Republican participants, or else the chief would get the Ventura County Sheriff's Department and local politicians to pull out of the event. This account generally corroborated by text messages provided to local TV news.
He basically said over and over in the conversation, "This is not Trump country." That slogan, "Making America Great," is not favorable, popular within 1,200 square miles. We don't want Republicans here. I could not believe it. The only thing, and I quote, "the only thing you could have made this worse, Mike, was inviting Dick Cheney and Sarah Huckabee Sanders."
The foundation VP also says that a local Democratic politician made an angry call to him as well.
Randall told me Chief Hagel also said he was contacted by Democratic Assemblywoman Jackie Irwin, who was allegedly upset that her previous election opponent, local Republican attorney Rhonda Kennedy, had also been invited.
He goes, "Yeah, she ran a bloody campaign against Jackie Irwin, but I have to get more notes back from Jackie Irwin."
The Fallen Officer Foundation says when they declined to remove the Republican participants, the police chief followed through on his withdrawal via text message and on a subsequent phone call.
He goes, "Yeah, this ain't going to work for us. We're not." So I said, "You're not going to support this with the honor guard?" He goes, "No, we're not bringing the honor guard. We're not coming. We're not going to be there. We're not supporting it."
Because of this withdrawal, other sponsors and politicians dropped out as well. The event is now postponed indefinitely, and the money already donated to benefit the family and the community is now being returned to the donors. Now, mind you, this is one side of the story. We do have those text messages to examine, but nothing I see in those is as outrageous as what the organizer says the police chief said to him on the phone, but we have no way to confirm that. The police chief is not speaking to media from what I can see, but the Ventura County Sheriff Department issued a statement saying that the event was organized by an out-of-state group that was more focused on a political agenda than on the victims and their families. Because the Sheriff's Department doesn't want to become politicized, they chose not to participate, and the event was then canceled by the organizers, not law enforcement. The sheriff says local police are now dealing with a vicious and calculated social media campaign against them, a claim that Ron Helis's widow and son support in statements as well. His wife says the event has evolved into something more about politics and less about her loss, And his son says he supports the sheriff's decision to withdraw from the event because it was politicized, and that the phone and text conversation with the police chief has been mischaracterized and taken out of context, and that the only wrong was slander on the part of the event organizers. Of course, this family is close to the event. They had previously supported it and helped to organize it in part. I'm sure they know more than I do about how this all went down, but I'm still skeptical of this account for a few reasons. The case that this event was specifically designed to be, or even accidentally became, a Republican campaign event is really weak. Scott Baio wasn't participating because of Republican politics. He was participating because he's a member of Ron Helis's community, specifically Ron Helis's church, in fact. Joy Villa wasn't even scheduled to speak, just to sing the national anthem. And no matter who you pick to do that, they're going to have their own personal political views, outspoken or private, but their job in that context is just to sing a unifying celebration of country, and there's no indication Joy Villa would have done anything but. I don't know much about this local Republican politician. I have no idea what the content of her speech would have been, but the trouble with the claim that this event was all partisan is that it wasn't. Right there on the speaker list is Wayne Billowit, a former lobbyist, now public safety liaison for Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom's office. If the police chief and the sheriff's department are really concerned about politicization, it's odd they have nothing to say about this guy being controversial. And just because the people attending the event have political opinions doesn't mean the event is inherently political. I don't buy that was the intent of the event organizers. In fact, the charity founder says they don't do politics at all. They just bring people of all perspectives together under the common purpose of supporting law enforcement and their families.
The memorial is never used as a political platform for any speakers or anyone attending the event. We make that very clear. This is all about uniting the local communities with law enforcement, remembering the sacrifice of the fallen officer, and honoring the family. When we invite speakers, we do not care what political party they are affiliated with. This is strictly about the fallen officer and all of law enforcement. This shows unity for law enforcement, and we need this now more than ever. What better way to do this than to have people who are different, who believe different things?
There's a really great comment on that video. Dispatch says, Thousand Oaks 911, what is your political affiliation? It's absurd today, but check back tomorrow. With each of these episodes, more and more, we are creating a society that puts politics first and foremost, and the common good a distant second. And that's even if we accept the story from the police chief and the sheriff. Let's say that the local police are right. Let's say these event organizers are lying. And this event was secretly going to be Republican grandstanding by a speaker or two. I get the sheriff's department wants to maintain political neutrality. I get they don't want to be seen as a political actor. But by saying you'll have no association with anyone of outspoken political views, aren't you really doing that anyway? Aren't you saying that refusal to be seen with any politics whatsoever is actually priority number one, thus ironically making politics your first consideration? Let's say Scott Baio does go up to the podium and he delivers some BS rah-rah go Trump speech. Let's say Joy Villa does pull that old MAGA dress out of the closet to sing the national anthem. Even if that happened, wouldn't it still be better to participate and let the money go through? If the event gets too politicized, just issue a statement later that says we do not endorse any particular political message. We're just here for the charity because the money is more important than the politics. Even if I buy the sheriff's story, he and the police chief had the opportunity to make a small, personal, harmless sacrifice in pursuit of the common good, and they rejected it. The more we refuse to do that, the more our social fabric will tear. When politics, even political neutrality, is prioritized over everything else, and we can't set it aside for any common good, not only can we not give to charity without this political pre-screening, we can't even be friends. We can't be business associates. We can't be good neighbors to each other. We can't live and let live if it's politics first and then let live. But hey, it is California. I suppose that concept of let live was forcibly exiled from that state a long time ago. Do this, think that. Oh, and by the way, give me all your lunch money, says Sacramento. It is no wonder that so many are seeking that freedom to live. elsewhere. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel always. Appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.